All right. And
Oh, yeah.
because it might be fun just to come into like,
Wacky Wednesday.
I love pancakes.
Oh, dude, I really want pancakes now.
Yeah, pancakes are good. I like breakfast. Breakfast is a good thing.
Well, if you come over, I'll make you breakfast. Come on, hurry up.
French toast.
Nobody in my family likes French toast. I'm the only one.
Pancakes. Really? No one likes French toast? What the hell?
No. I don't know.
Do you know how to make French toast?
I do. I make great French toast.
Good.
I use King's Hawaiian rolls for it.
Oh, yeah, boy.
And it's so
With
good.
coconut syrup?
I don't have coconut syrup.
I know, you have to buy it on Amazon.
It's such crap, dude, and it's expensive.
I just bought coconut syrup and guava syrup.
How's the guava syrup?
It's delicious.
So my family just tried guava juice for the first time, and they're really into it, so
Sweet.
that's nice. Oh, if you mix it with orange juice, too. I don't know why we're talking about this right now, but if you mix guava juice with orange juice, it's fantastic.
This is our intro to this one. It's going to be great.
Yes, it's called guava juice.
Great breakfast meals.
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Secret levels
So you
of
ready?
breakfast.
Oh, man, now Coogies. Remember Coogies? Let's go get some bacon.
Oh, Coogies is gone, dude.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
It's gone.
Nope.
It's closed.
Nope. Hello and welcome to The Secret Level, a GeekTyrant podcast. I am Billy Fisher,
The
one
great
and only,
Billy Fisher. The one
the
and only.
the greatest sidekick to the best host of any podcast ever, Joey Parr.
Shut up. I am not.
You know it's true.
No, it's not. I'm
Yeah,
the worst. I'm the worst podcast host ever made.
That's why everyone listens to us. It's kind of like Piranha 3D. No one really likes it, but they watch it all the time.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, here we go.
That's proper.
Exactly. So here we go. Joe, it's been a while. We're back. So how you feeling?
Feeling good.
Nice.
Crazy days, but can't complain. Things are moving forward. Life is happening. People are being people, and food is food.
Yeah. Those are, two of the best things I've ever heard.
Those are my words of wisdom, by the way.
Yeah, right. I love food. And that's why you keep coming back. So here we are, episode 8, buddy. So you notice that I'm the one introducing the episode today because
what happened there?
Yeah, things are getting weird. We're not only am I introducing the podcast, but we're breaking new ground.
We are.
That
is the truth.
We have decided that we're not just going to do fun facts about movies.
I mean, movies are great, but we're still going to talk about movies, but we're also going to mix it up and do all kinds of other things. And this is one of those days where we're going to mix it up and do something different.
This is one of the episodes that I was most excited for us to do. Today, we're going to talk about the old Laserdisc. That's horrible.
I'm keeping that in.
Yes, you are. We've got the Laserdisc. Well, the Laserdisc classic, Dragon's Lair. I am telling you, I probably funded so many of Don Bluth's films with how many quarters I spent on this game.
Dude, I would spend hours in the arcade pumping quarters in, getting through that freaking game, and it took me forever to get through. It wasn't easy to get through. It's not an easy game.
No.
It should be. You look back at it and you're like, it's a pretty easy game, but man, when you're a kid in the 80s in the arcade with a bunch of quarters in hand, it's not easy.
No. And see, the issue is they tell you what's going to happen, what button you have to push, which way you got to go on the controllers. I failed every time. I never completed that game.
Did you? You never won it.
I made it to the dragon and died.
Are you serious? You've never beat the game?
Never
on
beat
your
it.
own?
On my own. Never beat it.
Wow.
I rage quit that thing so quick one time. Because I was in it. I was in it to win it. I thought I was playing for like 2 hours. Made it to the dragon, one stupid move, and I was dead.
2 hours, which is kind of funny that we spent so much time playing this game because in preparing for this episode, we watched the playthrough on it, and it's 11 minutes long.
11 minutes, people. 11 minutes of gameplay. I was there for 2 hours just pumping money into it. And then I rage quit. I was so mad. I legit cried. I couldn't handle it. The stress was too much. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, man. So many good memories. That's why it was fun to watch the game pop up on Stranger Things in season 2.
Yes. We're going to get into that because I was so proud of those guys. But let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Before we get into the deep, dark secrets of Dragon's Lair, what's
Are there
new with
dark
you this week?
secrets? There's dark
yes.
secrets?
Dude, I didn't realize. Yeah, we're going to talk about this in a minute because there's things after like researching this game that I didn't know or I didn't pay attention to before that I was like, oh, that's way interesting. So we're going to get into that. But let's talk about what happened in Joey's week this week. Anything good? What are we looking at? What are we studying?
Well,
What do we got?
this week, kind of different. You know, like we said, we're switching things up. But yeah, this week I ended up getting into something that has been recommended to me over and over and over and over and over again by people that I know.
Okay.
It's an anime.
Interesting.
It's called Demon Slayer, and I know it's one of the most popular animes out there right now, but it's just one of those things that I just haven't watched. But this week I sat down and watched the whole first season, and it was awesome. Like, I love this show. It was incredible. I couldn't be happier with how this show turned out. I was not expecting what I got. So good. So good.
That's crazy that you said that because my plans for when we were done recording tonight is to start the first episode.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Dude, you're in for a treat, bro.
Okay, yeah, because
so
I was
good.
Like, I heard the movie was great, but I figured I have to watch the anime first.
I still haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
I'm hoping to do that soon, but man, that it really hit the spot.
Amazing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't watch a lot of anime, but when I do, I make sure it counts.
Same here, dude. I mean, I don't get much time to myself to actually to watch any.
That's why I don't watch a lot of anime. I got a family, and it's just, you know, one of my youngest daughter is into certain animes, but for the most part, a lot of the anime that I want to watch, I can't watch around my kids because it's so freaking violent. But when I was growing up, I mean, I used to watch anime all the time. That's the difference. When I was a teenager, like freaking Akira, Ninja Scroll, Ghost in the Shell,
Man.
all that anime, Robotech, all that stuff growing up. I mean, I love that shit. But yeah, as an adult, there's so many different anime now. It is just in so little time, it's just so hard to keep up with everything that's happening. So for me, the anime I watch is like when people are like, you have to watch this. If you're going to spend time watching anime, it has to be this one. It's like when recommendations are so high, then I'm going to jump in and take the time to check it out, which I did this week, and I'm really glad I did. Loved it.
I'm excited that you're saying that because after we're done tonight, I was just going to go sit on the couch and just try it out because I've seen people posting about it.
Hell yeah, dude. You're going to love it.
I'm
You're going to love it.
So yeah, I'm glad you said that because I'd really like to get to that point where I can watch it, get to the movie and be able to watch the movie and understand what's going on.
Yep. Can't wait to watch the movie.
Yes.
Very excited to get to that.
Yep. See, I think this is kind of an animation week because I've been pumping through the Clone Wars. I've never watched it all the way through.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked, Billy.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Well, see,
I thought you'd seen them.
No, I haven't watched it all the way through. I watched the last season of Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
And I was always like, you know what, that season was amazing. I need to go back and watch it. But then I realized, wait, if we're gonna go by timeline, I gotta watch Clone Wars first.
Yeah.
And then I can watch Rebels. So I'm finishing that up, and it's an amazing series. It took a little while to get through the first season. The first season was hard.
First 3 for me were rough.
Yeah.
The first 3 seasons, I was like, whew, okay, I'm going to keep pumping through because I've been hearing good things. But yeah, first 3 seasons were rough for me. but after that, it kind of took off. And then when it comes down to that last season, holy shit, dude. So freaking good. The journey is just awesome.
And the thing that, okay, so I know you and I are on the same level about Invincible. Invincible is probably one of the greatest television shows ever made. Not just animated, but shows itself.
Yeah, great story. 100% agree.
So good. And I've been noticing, like, the storyline in Clone Wars just gets better and better and deeper, and then I'm just like,
and that's just you'll continue to follow through with that. You're gonna
I'm just
love
disappointed with people making television right now, because these 30-minute episodes of animation are trumping these major productions on television that I find boring and I just can't watch.
Yeah,
I'm just glad the medium's taking a whole new turn.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so yeah, animation, everything's changing. We're watching anime again.
I know.
We're talking about Dragon's Lair. I mean, such a great week. So, Dragon's Lair.
Yes.
I mean, any kid who went to any miniature golf course or arcade in the late 80s, early 90s.
Mid 80s. I mean, it came out in 83.
83. So, I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see that. We were going, We were going to, like, Malibu Grand Prix and playing that thing, and
yep.
Such a waste of money for me. I never finished it. Rage quitting is never good, kids.
Yeah.
Please finish, because after watching it, I was like, I want to play it again.
I've been struggling to remember this, Billy, and maybe you remember. What was the name of the arcade that we used to go to on Brand Boulevard? Was it East Coast Arcade? Or what was the name of it? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I
believe you're right.
I believe it was East something Arcade.
Yeah, it was either East Coast or East Street, something like that.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad that I forgot the name. I really am.
Me too.
But I think it's East Coast. I think it was East Coast.
I think it was too. I mean, we should have tattoos of that name on ourselves somewhere for the amount of money that we spent.
I know.
I mean, we're practically part owners of the place.
No joke.
So, yeah. Love that place. I mean, we all have that arcade, that miniature golf course, that Pizza Hut where we played all our favorite games.
Yep.
Oh, man. But for me, this one rivaled, like, I couldn't decide between whether to play Double Dragon or Dragon's Lair.
Well, Dragon's Lair, I mean, it was just so different than anything that we had ever seen before, ever. I mean, it's an animated game. And as a kid, I loved watching animated shows, like animated cartoons and stuff like that. And as fantasy, sci-fi, all that stuff was just really cool and fascinating to me when I was growing up. And so when I see something like Dragon's Lair and I see this, guy running through a castle trying to save a damsel in distress from a dragon, hell yeah, I want to play it.
Yeah, right.
And it looked cool. It looked like it was just a cool looking game.
It's mind-boggling that this never caught on. Like, this way of video game play never caught on, because it's truly one of a kind.
It did later on. I don't know if you remember Sega CD.
Oh, Sega CD.
So Sega CD had all those games where you had to choose
your own adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, and you had to like hit certain spots at like the right exact time,
right,
to be able to move forward. It was some of those games are so freaking stupid. Yeah, Sega CD, I think, was the one that kind of like picked up on that idea. But even then, it was a lot of live action stuff.
Right. And it didn't last very long.
It didn't last long at all.
No.
So.
But, I mean, just that concept. I mean, the thing with Sega CD, yeah, there's a lot of live action stuff that would happen, and it kind of felt choppy and weird. But for some reason, whatever they did with Dragon's Lair, it worked.
It's just so smooth.
Yeah,
so smooth, so fun.
Yeah, I mean,
the game was made by ex-Disney animator Don Bluth.
Don Bluth?
Yep. Gotta love the Don.
Oh man, I mean, Secret of Nim, American Tail.
Yep.
He's amazing.
Yeah. But, I mean, the hero of the game was Dirk the Daring, a knight attempting to rescue Princess Daphne from the evil dragon Singe.
Yep, that's the one.
And the dragon had locked the princess in the foul wizard Mordoc's castle.
Yes, sir.
And so Dirk the Daring is going through that castle, and there's just all kinds of traps and monsters and creatures that he has to fight going through it. So cool.
It was. I mean, you got the random weird bats and like the strange mists that would come in and attack you and stuff that you had to jump away from. But I mean, it felt fast paced and it felt you were totally enthralled in what was happening.
Yeah, and it was cool because you get to make the decisions for the character throughout the game.
Right.
And the outcome of each scene is basically determined by entering the right move at the precise moment. And if you make a wrong decision or you're too slow, you face immediate death. And then the skeleton pops up and goes...
Yeah.
That sound effect. Do you remember the sound effect?
Oh, man. No, I don't want to remember the sound effect.
It's kind of funny, though, because if you notice throughout the whole game, it's when I was watching the 11-minute playthrough, it's just Dirk.
Dude. I really wanted to talk about this because one of the noises, I swear Hank Azaria stole for Homer Simpson.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
I was like, I listened to it. I was like, no, he didn't just do the Homer Simpson. And then the timing, that came out before the Tracy Ullman show where we got Homer. So I was like, that dude stole that. But I'm glad he did. Because then when you hear it in the game, it's just like, it's, just a little bit more funny.
It was great, though. Like, when I'm rewatching, I'm like, oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's so funny. But I love just the silly grunts and stuff from Dirk.
Man, it's great. I mean, just imagine the person that had to sit there and do that. You have to come up with like 50 different kind of noises for jumping, for getting killed. Just come up with everything.
Yeah.
So if you guys watch the run-through, you'll hear the Homer Simpson.
You should watch the run-through just for fun.
And it'll remind you
so
of all the
silly.
places that you died.
And exactly. I'm like, oh man, I remember that. I remember I couldn't get past this part forever. Dude, such a nasty game. I loved it, but it was just, it would break your heart. It's kind of funny. In 2016, Don Bluth gave an interview and said the game didn't really have a story. It was just this clumsy knight entering a wizard's castle filled with creatures and booby traps to rescue the fair Princess Daphne. So, no story. It's just, a guy trying to go through a mission. But it did have a story.
It did. You're trying to save Daphne.
Yeah, exactly. That's a story. His whole journey's a story. So I don't know why he's saying it didn't really have a story.
Well, because there was no dialogue. Except from Daphne when you got there.
Well, and the only reason why she had dialogue was because she needed to let the player know what needed to be done to let her out.
Right? Because you didn't know you needed that freaking sword.
Yeah, because once you get there, like, what do I do? What do I do? If she didn't say anything, you wouldn't know what to do.
Right. But she's the only one. She's the only one that says anything. I mean, I guess the dragon roars, but all you hear is this stupid... I was like, oh... But yeah, no, I mean, even without a story, everyone who played it just wanted to succeed. Just get me through this. Of course.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll never complain. Yes, I rage quit. Everybody knows this now, but it was still one of the most fun games that you would play.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting story of how this whole game ended up coming together. The original concept of the game came from a guy named Rick Dyer of Advanced Microcomputer Systems. Yeah. And they were working on a fantasy game at the time, and they'd been working on that game for 2 years, and they wanted to make something that was going to be a visual masterpiece. And they were trying all kinds of things, trying all kinds of different methods of animation. And they couldn't quite get it down. And what they really wanted to do was create a hand-drawn animation style. And when they couldn't figure out what to do, they ended up going outside of the gaming system and trying to find other things that would be able to bring this game to life. And it's at this time that he discovered Laserdisc.
The huge record-sized discs. Those things were insane.
Those things were so cool when I first saw them. I was like, dang, look at that. That's a Laserdisc.
And as a kid, I was like, I need that. I need that in my life. Of course, I never got one.
Yeah, I never had a Laserdisc.
Way too expensive.
I remember my uncle bought a Laserdisc, but didn't have a Laserdisc player to play it on.
That makes so much sense. It's not even funny. Just that sentence made so much sense. I can see that happening, and I can hear the plethora of curse words coming out of his mouth once he figured out he couldn't play it. Yes.
Very, very funny. But yeah, the reason why they could use Laserdiscs is because it was an optical storage medium that had the capabilities to replicate movie quality animation. And so they utilized that, and they realized, hey, this is what's going to be able to bring this game to life.
And they did a great job with it. We're going to get into a little of the backstory of it and all that, but I mean, you think about it, that game was a lot less clunky than, like, you know how now Netflix has those choose your own adventure movies?
Yep.
For some reason, Dragon's Lair was a lot more smooth than what we have today. I don't get it. I don't know how they do it, but it just seems to flow a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So how did they get in touch with Don Bluth? Like, how did this connection happen?
It actually happened when Dyer ended up going to a screening of Don Bluth's The Secret of NIMH.
Love that movie.
It is a great movie. So Gary Goldman, who was on the production team for Don Bluth, talked about this, saying that he, in regards to Dyer, had seen The Secret of NIMH in the theater with his wife, Jan, and decided then that we should be the team to do the animation. He had already put a team of writers and artists together for the game to write a script and to storyboard the game and sequences. His plan was for a three-way partnership, with his team doing the pre-production and the computer programming. Bluth Group was to do the actual production, and then there was Cinematronics, who was going to do the distribution. You know, it wasn't a smooth ride for them. They had a few hiccups along the way.
Of course. I mean, they were breaking new ground.
Yeah, exactly. Financing was one of the biggest issues, because each company partner was to finance its own part of the deal.
Wow. So you make this and you pay for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Goldman said, the problem for us was that we didn't have any capital. Our studio operations had just been interrupted by the Screen Cartoons Union strike, and our backers pulled out, leaving us with no cash flow. So he says they had to borrow cash to get involved, and they borrowed that money from friends and relatives and whoever else they could convince that this was going to be a great idea.
Wow.
And at one point, they even borrowed from Rick Dyer's company and a few other companies. But that was, Don Bluth's production company just didn't have any money, so they had to just really get creative on trying to figure out how exactly they're going to fund their part of the game.
Which is kind of crazy, because I recall reading somewhere that he purely got into this game to make up the money that he lost with making Secret of NIMH, which to me makes no sense. Secret of NIMH is one of my favorite movies, not just animated movies, but favorite movies of all time. But I'm sure it just went all over a lot of people's heads.
Great adventure film. 100%.
Oh, it is.
100%. And it's just one of those things. It wasn't a Disney movie.
Right.
You know?
He's striking out on his own
from
Disney.
Exactly.
But I mean, I still love it. I haven't shown my kids yet The Secret of Nim because it's kind of got some scary parts. Like Nicodemus is kind of a scary dude.
Yeah, he is. But that's why I love Don Bluth's movies.
Right, he doesn't hold back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he does some good stuff. He took animated films to an edgy level that Disney wouldn't dare go.
Right. I mean, just that story alone. I mean, the timeline on it. She's got to get her kids out of the field before the plows come through.
Yep. Well, and that goes even for Dragon's Lair.
Right. And he's pushing the edge of not only animation but video games in general at the time.
Yeah. And so after they resolved their financial issues, which they did, they, figured out the money and stuff, they jumped right into development. And Dyer's team, they designed all of the characters and they did all of the storyboards for the film for Bluth's group to work from. But all of that work ended up being discarded because they didn't meet the required standards of animation at the time. So they just had to throw it all out. And in the end, all of the character design and animation was left entirely to Bluth's production company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they ended up doing all of that stuff. At the same time, Dyer and his designers kept working on ideas and programming the links between each scene. So they continued to work and do their thing, but Bluth ended up doing the majority of the creative work for that game.
Which is awesome because I don't think anyone else at the time could have done what he did. Like the originality of the characters that come through. I mean, you have Dirk, who's just classic, Don Bluth character, but the enemies that you face, like the bats,
and the skeletons. I mean, it was a very one of the things I loved about the creatures and stuff is even though it was cartoon style animation, it reminded me of Ray Harryhausen and his work. So I think they kind of they must have paid some kind of homage to that just because of the kind of things that they were throwing in at Dirk and stuff and on his adventure. When talking about bringing all the changes that they had to bring to the table, Goldman, who worked for Bluth at the time, said, "We changed the continuity of the gameplay, which upset the writers and the storyboard artists over at Rick's shop. We basically re-storyboarded the game with new designs and sometimes completely different ideas. At the time, Rick was very good about keeping his crew's objections from us, letting us plot on." So even though they didn't like what they were doing, Rick was covering for him because he knew they were getting the job done and they knew what needed to happen. So,
right. And when you're relying on another team to do the animation, you can't put them in a box. You got to let them do what they got to do.
Well, then and this was a completely different medium, so they were doing completely new things at the time. I mean, they were making a video game. They were making an animated video game.
Right.
So.
Still so cool. I still get excited about it.
But the main characters, Dirk and Daphne, Rick's shop had their own original designs for them, but those ended up being discarded as well. And Don Bluth's team came in and basically remodeled the characters. So Dirk was remodeled as a clumsy oaf with big feet and hands and not too smart, while Don Bluth spent considerable time drawing Daphne in various seductive poses.
I didn't realize how racy that was until I just
when
watched
you
it run
rewatch
through.
it again, you're like, oh, okay. Yep.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
the kids at the
really
time
went there,
ate
man.
it up, dude. Like, I don't know. Boys loving their girly cartoons.
I'm just dumbfounded. When I got to that point, I was like, was it really that bad? She was just essentially naked under a sheer kind of robe.
The seductive character was inspired. Basically, they designed the character from old collection of Playboy magazines. That was That's
Makes sense.
that's where they designed the character. So you watch it now, you're like, oh yeah, I can see that. Yep, there it is.
See, when you're playing the game, I never really noticed it because I was like too interested in trying to find what I had to do next. But now I guess I get the appeal of why everybody wanted to get there. You know what I
Gotta
mean?
get to the girly scene.
Right? I was just like,
Just
at
a
that
bunch
time,
of guys playing the games. We gotta get to the girly scene. That's gonna be so fun.
Man.
But Goldman recalls this. He goes, "It was odd walking by Don's office with him in there at the drawing board, surrounded by several open Playboy magazines. In the end, Don put Daphne in a very revealing one-piece thong swimsuit with a sheer veil that partially covered her." Don Bluth was also responsible for designing the 50 different humorous ways in which Dirk could die, including being eaten, squashed, and disintegrated.
Yeah, Disintegrator was always my favorite one. Just the... Yep.
And then the
you
sounds of the bones dropping.
Yeah. That was bones dropping. I'm just letting you guys know. That's what that sound was. So, yeah, I mean, that to me, that had to be the most fun part. Funnest is not a word. The most fun part is the deaths.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, while we wanted to play through the game and get to see Daphne,
Man, I'm
and
glad I didn't notice
and
that.
as many quarters as we pumped in, it was still always fun to watch Dirk die.
Absolutely. And just the new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
As for the script, when you watch the run through of the game, you'll notice that Dirk doesn't have any dialogue.
Not a single thing.
Just
not even his grunts. They're just he says no words.
No, nothing. The only reason Daphne had to speak was because she offers crucial information to the player.
Right.
About the finale featuring the fight with Singe the Dragon.
Which you don't even know that's his name. We just find out and, you know, she doesn't say, it's Singe. No.
And it's funny because the voices of the characters were done by production crew members.
I can see that.
Like Daphne was voiced by the cleanup supervisor.
Oh, there you go.
So, kind of funny.
Her. Yeah. Man, I would never really know because I only got to the freaking dungeon and then I died. And yeah. They have all these issues. They designed this. How did they get this out to us, man? Because we know it made it to us. We've all played it.
Well, this was going to be the first Laserdisc arcade game in arcades. So they had to figure out how to make that happen. So work on the Dragon's Lair game had to be fast. They had to get it out there. So initial development started in October 1982. Animation was started in January 1983. And Rick's team managed to compile 3 color sequences by March for the Chicago Game Show. There were 130 artists and technicians that were involved with creating the game, and it was finished by June of 1983.
Wow, good for them.
Ready to ship to arcades in July.
That's crazy.
That's
so fast.
They put it together super fast. They ended up field testing the game at the Malibu Grand Prix in California, and there were over 200 people that showed up to watch the game, and they were just blown away and amazed by what this game offered. The animation that was happening was it was blowing people's minds. And they also did a test in San Diego, and the same thing happened. People just flocked to this thing and were just in awe of what Bluth and this team created. It just was blowing people's minds all over the place. The game became just a massive hit with everyone. So when they put this thing out in arcades, when it actually hit arcades, it was unprecedented.
I mean, even when we played, it was years after it was released, there was still a line to play the game. So, I mean, as technology grew, that kind of held its own little place in the video game, in the arcade world.
Yeah, and due to the popularity of the game, the arcades recouped the cost of getting the game within a week.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they just made their money back so fast.
That's crazy because back then, when Laserdiscs, there we go again. When Laserdiscs first came out, they were like $1,000 for just a player.
Yeah, it was
The
expensive.
player alone. So in a week to get all your money back for it, that's amazing.
Yeah. And they ended up lowering the price just to give arcade owners the incentive to get the machine and put it in their arcades. So they were willing to take a loss just to get this into the arcades. But in the end, I mean...
It succeeded. It did exactly what they wanted it to do.
Yeah. Who was it? It was Goldman. I believe Goldman said, when you went to an arcade, there was always a crowd around Dragon's Lair.
It's true. I mean, there always was.
There was a line of people waiting to play the game. Many of the arcades placed extra monitors on top of the game cabinet so the crowd could see the animation. Do you remember that?
I do. And that actually became a thing when all the most popular games came out. They would have screens above them so you could watch other people play.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I guess that was the trendsetter right there.
Yep. Now, here's something I didn't know. I mean,
Okay.
until I started doing research.
Right.
As much as I loved Dragon's Lair and as much as I played that game, I had absolutely no idea that there were sequels to the game that were made.
Serious business, dude. You and I were talking about it when we started researching this. What?
Yep. There was
not only a second, but a third?
Yeah, there were 2 sequels. There was Dragon's Lair 2, Time Warp. In this game, Daphne is kidnapped by the evil wizard Mordok in order to be forced into marriage. Dirk's children and his mother-in-law are clearly upset by the abduction of Daphne, and Dirk must once again save her.
Dude, this Mordok dude's a dick.
I know.
Just leave Daphne alone. She doesn't want you, bro. Get over it.
The third Dragon's Lair was Dragon's Lair 3, The Curse of Mordred. The wizard Mordok's witch sister, Mordred, seeks revenge for her brother's death and captures Dirk the Daring's homestead into an orb on her staff. Dirk was not in the house, so he begins pursuing Mordred to restore his home and Princess Daphne inside it.
Man, just that family, they all suck.
And I watched these, and Dragon's Lair 2 is more on point with the animation.
Right.
But Dragon's Lair 3 is pixelated. It's a very poor looking game.
So essentially they didn't want to put the money into it
Yeah.
for fear that it wasn't going to be made back.
I don't know the reason why they went that route. Maybe it was because it went straight to
Atari or whatever.
Atari or something.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't know.
Commodore
It was
64.
just the quality just wasn't as good, and I honestly didn't finish watching the playthrough on it because it was not pleasing to the eye.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do, dude? I mean, it's like reinventing the wheel. You're not going to get better than what the first guy did.
Yeah, and they didn't.
No. Yeah, I was trying to come up with better analogies, but that's the one we got, so there you go.
One other thing about Don Bluth when he was creating the game is he would regularly view the in-process animation on its original film format while editing on both a 1-inch display and in a full-sized movie theater screen.
Wow.
Because of that,
we bougie.
Yeah, because of that, he was always disappointed with the picture quality of the version of the different versions of the game because the quality was never as good as its film version until the HD version of the game was made.
Oh, I got you.
There was also a scene cut from the game that would have involved Dirk fighting a series of gargoyles that were throwing spears at him. He basically navigated through some stepping stones and found an exit inside of a treasure chest, but the scene only got as far as pencil tests. And while it could have been remastered for, special edition home video releases or whatever, it never was. The scene apparently wasn't fun to play, and they just cut it out, never to be seen again.
I mean, that's good. At least they didn't try to throw in everything that they've got. They wanted to make it fun for everyone.
Yeah.
That's good.
Dragon's Lair was also the first game with stereo sounds.
Ooh.
Yep. In the arcades, the sound effects from user input would alternate speakers.
That's cool.
Yep.
I mean, they went all out on that thing.
Yeah. They're actually, and I'm sure you know about this, and I'm sure most of you who are listening to this podcast know about this, but Ryan Reynolds is set to star in a Dragon's Lair movie that is being made, live action.
That's awesome.
For Netflix, I believe.
I mean, if anybody's going to play Dirk, it's going to be
Ryan Reynolds was born to play Dirk. As much as he was born to play Deadpool, he was born to play Dirk as well. He's going to be great. And I really hope they stick to the aesthetic from the game and don't give him any dialogue. I just want Ryan Reynolds to be going through the whole movie with grunts and screams and hurt noises.
Well, that would be fantastic, but I don't think they could pull it off.
I
would love it if they could, but I think
I would love that so much. I don't think they will, but that would be so great.
There's going to be a lot of internal dialogue, I believe.
Yeah. There's not a lot of information on that movie yet, but at the height of the game's popularity, Don Bluth was looking at making a Dragon's Lair movie. They were looking to adapt it back in the 80s.
And I think they missed out on a great opportunity to do that with the popularity of the game. That was the time. Strike while the iron's hot. They should have made it then. But I'm glad we're getting it now. Exactly.
And who knows what we would have got back then? I mean, we can actually talk about that. We kind of do know what we would have got back then.
Yeah, a little bit.
So Bluth hired writer Alan Dean Foster, who is known at the time for his novelizations of movies, including the first Star Wars, to get involved with the story sessions. So Bluth was ready to get rolling on this movie. And he said at the time, I think we have a really good shot with the movie version. If the Dragon's Lair name appears on a movie marquee, kids won't be threatened by it. They won't feel shy about going to the theater. Seeing Snow White might embarrass them, but Dragon's Lair, that's already theirs.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean,
if I would have seen a Dragon's Lair poster in a movie theater back then, holy shit, I would have been like, hell yeah, Mom, Dad, hell yeah, you gotta take me to this movie. I need to see Daphne. Don't you have a Dragon's
Lair poster?
I need to see Daphne.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think she would be naked as much as she was in the video game.
We don't know.
That's true, mate. But
because his next thing was, Bluth said, we're going to give them everything they want to see, answer all their questions about our hero Dirk and his background. At the same time, we're not going to aim the subject matter at the nursery level. We're going to aim up. See? So if they wanted to give boys everything they wanted to see.
Oh man, that would have been too creepy. Just too creepy.
One of those movies we'd look back on now and be like, whoa. That was a cartoon. Take me to this? Yeah. But now, it would never happen now. Daphne would not be set like that. Oh, no way. No. I'm surprised the game hasn't been canceled yet for its portrayal of Daphne.
Well, I guess we're setting that ball rolling now.
Dang it.
Dang it.
But anyway, Oddly, rather than expanding upon the cliffhanger adventures of the game, Bluth was looking to tell the story of how Dirk and Daphne met as teenagers and battled a evil sorcerer named Mordok, Mordok from the game, who was planning on raising an army of corpses from the River of the Dead to take over the world.
I can see that.
So Dirk, Daphne, and Mordok have had a very long history with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like the Snape and the Potter family.
Snape?
No. Cut that. That was stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, that was dumb. I'm dumb. All right, back to what we're doing. Okay, so anyway. So, he's raising an army of corpses from the River of the Dead.
Yep. So Dirk has a friend named Strun, and they're peasants who live in a forest and have been adopted by a strange old hag who was killed by Mordok. So they were raised by an old hag. That hag was killed by Mordok. Strun ends up being kidnapped and becomes possessed, and Princess Daphne and her aunt Brunhilde are disguised as gypsies and hide in the forest to elude Mordok. You following me here?
I'm with you.
All right, here we go.
This story is not really making Mordok look good at all. But I mean, he's an equal opportunity killer because he'll take out a hag as well as a sexy princess. Yep. I mean, that's his thing.
Then Dirk learns about a warrior knight who can defeat Mordok and sets off to find him. Along the way, he meets up with 7 dwarf trolls called the 7 Deadlies, named after the 7 deadly sins: greed, lust, sloth. You get it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Foster had designed them as thieving otters, but Bluth changed them to a mixture of Disney's 7 dwarves and the little people from the movie Time Bandits. And you didn't think this was going to connect back to one of our previous films that we talked about.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
I'm glad they didn't put otters out like that, man. Leave the otters alone. Yeah.
But that is interesting, though. A mixture of Disney's 7 dwarves and the dwarves from the Time Bandits.
Hey, it works. Yeah.
So that group strikes up an alliance to find the knight, who turns out to be an aging, burnout, former hired gun. Dirk is given his familiar chain mail and the orange tunic that he wears, and the knight agrees to face Mordok.
Nah, that actually doesn't sound too bad.
This sounds like a fun film. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I would totally watch this thing. So, Mordok has taken over Strun's body and has captured Daphne and intends to wed her. Right?
Wait, is it Mordrock? Have we been saying it wrong this whole time? Crap.
Have we?
I've been saying Mordok.
Have I?
I believe so.
What do we do?
Nothing. We just keep going.
Okay, here we go.
Just keep it going, bro. See if anybody's paying attention.
Exactly. All right. So, did you get that?
Got that.
All right. So, Mordrock wants to marry Daphne because Mordrock likes doing that stuff.
Right.
He just wants Daphne.
That's his hag didn't like him, so.
The knight ends up killing Strun, but Mordrock's soul oozes out and transforms into a dragon. The knight collapses into a pile of empty armor. Dirk comes in, slays the dragon, but finds that Daphne has been killed. But don't worry, his love brings her back to life, and Dirk has become the famous Dirk the Daring because of his bravery and sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah, that fits.
You like it?
Yeah, that tracks, dude.
I'm
good
down.
With that. Yeah.
I want to watch it.
Well, I guess we have to get started on it.
It's explained that the film lacked the silliness and cartoony approach of the game, and the redesign of Dirk and Daphne left them almost unrecognizable. So they redesigned the characters for some reason. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah. Jerks.
A short film was produced to basically get the interest of investors, and that pretty much consisted of about 30 sketches with a narration. And writer John Cawley said, at one major studio, Bluth showed the presentation and then showed the work print of Dragon's Lair 2, which was almost completed. The executive sat there for a second, then stated they should turn Lair 2 into the feature and forget the other one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, you can't please everybody.
No, unfortunately, you can't.
So it just never got off the ground then, huh?
Yeah. The movie never happened.
Womp, womp. But now, we got the one with Ryan Reynolds, so we have something to look forward to.
Just a little bit more information on Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp, on what that story entailed. Since that's, kind of want to talk about that a little bit more, since the studio wanted to turn that into a movie instead of the movie Bluth wanted to make.
Right.
So the sequel takes place years after the first game and has Dirk married to Daphne with lots of kids. When Daphne is kidnapped by Mordroc to be forced into marriage, Dirk must once again go and save her, and he's assisted by a talking time machine that has been possessed by the brother of Mordroc.
What a plot twist.
You following me?
I'm with you.
Awesome. Dirk travels through several different dimensions and historical eras searching for Daphne. Some of those scenes were inspired by the classic stories and fairy tales like Alice in Wonderland and Sleeping Beauty. Production on that game was halted, though, when the arcade market pretty much started to fall apart in 1984, but it was eventually completed and released.
I'm just sad I missed that one.
It was it was inspired by the spirit of the first game with lots of action and humor and stuff, but
I just never saw it. Like, I just don't know if our personal arcade let us down or what, but I just never got to see it.
let me ask you this, though, Billy.
Yeah.
Would you have rather seen Bluth's take on Dragon's Lair as a film, or would you have wanted to see Dragon's Lair 2 as a film?
I actually like the description of his version better than the gameplay.
I do too. It would have
been more fun.
It doesn't make sense to me that studio executives, like, I guess it does make sense because they make stupid decisions all the time.
Well, and also everybody is scared to make that the animation genre back then. They were scared to make it more adult, and we have that now. But back then, I don't think they were ready to cross that line.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hopefully that's what we get now. That would be awesome.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Dragon's Lair movie is going to be. This new one with Ryan Reynolds. I'm curious to see what story they'll tell.
So, what do you think they're going to do?
I assume that it's going to retell the story of the original game. They're going to do the familiar. They're going to retell that story, which is fine. I think they could have some fun with it.
I think they should kind of step out of the box, man.
I do too. I just don't know if they will. I'm pretty confident, though, that they're going to stick with what fans are familiar with.
But who besides us? Who's talking about Dragon's Lair right now?
Everybody is. Remember, it was in
shoot.
Stranger Things. So it put the game back on the map in a way, weird way.
We watched that scene in Stranger Things, and I freaking completely feel their pain, man. I've been there. Like, I was watching it, and I was like, I've been there, and then I lost it, and then I legit lost it. Like, I lost at the game, and then I lost my mind, and that was it. We're done. But I got to give those kids a lot of credit for making that far, and that was good.
It was good. It was good.
I mean, they made it to the very end and died. But still, they kept on trucking.
Yep.
Me, nope. Couldn't do it.
But I love Dragon's Lair. Love that game.
Love the game. I'm sad that I don't own the cabinet now. Because, you could play it on the TV, but that's just not the same. You have to have the...
It's not. It's really not.
You have to have the whole machine. But I looked them up, and they are selling for about $2,500.
This games. It's just one of the staples of our childhood, man.
Right. It's, to me, that is the arcade.
Well, that and Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time.
And the Split and the Simpsons game.
And the X-Men game.
And Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2.
And Mortal Kombat.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dragon's Lair. Go
Dragon's
watch
Lair.
Go watch the 11-minute run through.
Yeah, it's fun. There's different platforms that you can find it. You can get an emulator and play it on your computer.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's more fun. To me, it's more fun just to have the cabinet to stand there and... but it is what it is. And to quote the game...
You actually found a quote. I was going to say, the only thing we can really quote from the game are the grunts and the dope. His scream was so funny.
It was. It didn't match any of the other sounds that he makes.
It didn't.
Yeah, and then... Oh, man. I just love that there's that crazy floating horse that comes out of nowhere. It's fantastic. There's no explanation. Just, you find a horse in a room. Let's ride it. There you go.
Well.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, thank you, everybody, for listening to our nonsense on Dragon's Lair. One of our favorite things that we grew up with as kids. Dragon's Lair. Awesome.
It's amazing. Anybody who's played it, you know what we're talking about.
And we really weren't sure what we were going to find on this, but we actually found a good amount of stuff. We think we pretty much covered everything
about
the game. If you know anything else, please let us know. We want to know if we missed anything, because I am totally open to more behind the scenes, to learning more behind the scenes stories on this stuff. So always feel free to hit us up.
And this kind of opens it up too. We're not just going to stick with movies. This is kind of a free flow kind of project here. So let us know what you like, what you're interested in.
Yeah. And also subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave reviews and stuff. Let us read everything that you have to say, because we were probably pronouncing Mordrock wrong through the whole first half of this thing.
Yeah, that's my bad.
We realized our mistake, though.
We fixed it. But please, yes, let us know. We've got episode 9 coming. Where are we going on that one?
I don't know yet.
Possibilities.
I kind of like surprising people now.
Yeah, I think it's more fun that way.
Yeah, I think it's more fun to surprise people.
Because usually we find our best ones just by talking after we're done recording.
Exactly.
So, yeah, okay. Well, we love you. Thank you for everything, guys.
Yeah, thanks. See you next time. Or listen next time. Or hear you next time. Okay, bye.
No! That was fun.